hot. Very hot.
How about we go have some fun together on the cruise?
Just don't make me do anything lame.
Have you seen the amenities?
So in today's Great Ships of Cinema Deep Dive, we're not going so deep. It is still summertime. In fact, in Southern California, where I'm from, surf's up and it's only getting hotter, as a matter of fact. So I'm going to be discussing and roasting, like finely toasted coffee grounds, a movie that, in sight of its comically dysfunctional, low-budget, low-effort storytelling and production value, akin to the Lifetime cinematic universe of which it's a product of, I still think it utilizes the Queen Mary in very tasteful ways that I wanted to speak about, and that is worthy of giving it credit for. So, while it remains the low-hanging fruit that's fun and easy to poke fun at, we're going to be giving it the full sandwich treatment, which means that we're going to be complimenting it as well as roasting it. So hang on to your life belts. It's going to be a bumpy but fun voyage, to be sure, because I would consider The Wrong Cruise to be a summer flick. The movie that we will be discussing, depending on your view of it, today. So yeah, the 2018 direct-to-TV installment of Lifetime's somehow surprisingly extensive Wrong series titled, in this case, The Wrong Cruise, is actually part of a series containing 26 Lifetime movies so far. It was thought up by Vivica A. and David DeCoteau, debuting in January 2016 with The Wrong Roommate. While Fox was starring in the TV drama series Empire, she was also gaining speed at Lifetime and starting a real-life empire, if you will, of her own. Maybe the subject matters of Empire inspired the Wrong franchise. We may never know. It all centers around and features innocent and well-intended or else naive and foolish women who trust the wrong person and suffer the consequences. I like to think of them as modern-day fables of sorts. In Vivica's own words with Oprah Daily Magazine, there's always a subtle message, teaching women not to trust people so easily. The movies are about how one can get charmed, especially women. If you're feeling a little lonely, we get ourselves into situations that we shouldn't, and relationships in general. It's a lesson for men not to be the wrong boy next door, or the wrong stepfather. And they've been popular enough and making enough money for even more to be in the works like previously stated. I personally have only seen 5 of them so far, with clearly the wrong impression that I'd seen them all. Because I was shell-shocked in amazement at the quality of The Wrong Man in particular. It's the only one that I 100% recommend watching. As previously noted, there is the cheap, half-baked production value from these movies, but there are surprisingly good lessons in them as well that do, in my opinion, a pretty decent job of sticking with you and making you think. And this movie, as far as I'm concerned, is no exception. It's one of the reasons why I wanted to cover it, in fact, in this series. Now, the Y2K actress Vivica A. Fox plays some kind of role in each of them, though surprisingly not always the main role. It's kind of like a theater repertoire where the same general cast plays different roles in each production, but we're lucky in this one to get Vivica A. Fox as our main lead. Shot simultaneously alongside A Christmas Cruise, very different movies, by the way, we see a lot of the exact same shots. One shot was really improved on for the movie, though, and I'm going to get into that. I really do think that this film was the priority over the 2, though, because every shot aboard Queen Mary for this film feels way more intentional, while some of the shots, like this one, not actually Queen Mary, but a set of the apparent crew quarters in A Christmas Cruise, feel way more like an afterthought in this case. The Wrong Cruise follows a struggling mother and daughter who just lost the man of the house. The daughter is a bit of a bully and acting out because of this recent loss, when Vivica A. Fox's character thinks it may be healing to take a local 5-night Mexican Baja cruise to renew and cleanse their relationship and their lives altogether. It almost seems daring for them to use a Disney Cruise Line ship in place of the movie Cruise Line.
I'm going because I've earned it and I deserve it.
So yes, we're going. So pack your swimsuit and smile. You're stuck with your mama, like it or not.
But as you may have guessed from the title, this is not the rejuvenating cruise they expect, but actually, one could even say, the wrong cruise.
Will you please just go have fun?
Okay.
I'm gonna go find the bar anyway.
Sky,
What? I'm legal in Mexico.
that does not apply on this cruise.
We'll see.
Say it.
I will not be stupid in Mexico.
Excellent.
Some sussy bacas have some underhanded plans for these two innocent women, and there are some twists as to who they are and exactly what they have planned for them. Something that I found to be an actually really well done and really well paced story beat, unless you saw the 30-second TV promo ahead of time. Hello, by the way, my name is Matthew and I've only been on 3 cruises my entire life so far, and I am hungry for more. But I'm also very grateful to have gotten that much from life as a lover of the salty brine. So who's complaining, you know? Welcome to Great Ships of Cinema, a series on my channel where I discuss all different forms of media, from movies to television to vlogs, books, music, articles, you name it, that involve the great dames of the high seas. Some we know and love, and some that need more love and attention as far as I'm concerned. If you have any suggestions, please let me know in the comments. But I'm just a random person on the internet. I access the piece of media for how it utilizes and represents the seagoing experience, what it says about the time period in which it was produced, and a general assessment about the movie itself. I already have a good handful on my channel. I'm also a great lover of film with an accompanying BA in Cinema Arts from Vanguard University and some professional film experience while I'm at it. So what better way than to combine the two loves and passions together. So I hope you enjoy this video and others like it on the playlist that I have linked below. I've actually already done a review of A Christmas Cruise, which is in my Great Ships of Cinema playlist, so check it out if you're interested. It would make me feel all warm and cozy inside, and trust me,
I trust you!
you will be entertained. It opens with some B-roll footage of a seaborne cruise line yacht / cruise ship, and what looks to be more like a Caribbean island than a destination in Mexico, though I could be wrong. Now, could we talk about the color grading for a hot minute? It's mostly all over the place. Sometimes the Kelvins are really blue, with the contrast going all the way to the left. The nighttime shots are super crisp though. They had some good quality cameras, that's for sure. But then, out of nowhere, at about the 33-minute mark, it adopts one of those yellow sepia color filters stereotypical for Mexico that is a bit much in not just my opinion, I've come to find, and so gross and distracting too, by the way. It's such a 2007 way to go about color grading, in my opinion. I do like the intro. Okay, very good pacing here. It jumps from lighthearted and happy to the sudden juxtaposing, jarring contrast we in the industry like to call cross-cutting, or parallel editing, with effective mystery as this trapped woman in a vaguely undisclosed location tries to escape this huge foreboding estate we can only imagine is in Mexico based on what we know about where they're going in the first place. Now, for some reason, every single wrong movie has running and jogging acting as a major plot point or contributing to a major character arc, and this one is no exception. The playful "you're such a boomer mom" and "oh, you kids today" thing is a little cringe at times though, and it doesn't take us long to find ourselves at the ocean terminal, Queen Mary style. Here is the exact same serial B-roll shot, by the way, of our Dame Queen Mary in Long Beach, one done well and one done very lazily, if I do say so myself. I do better work when I don't even get paid, quite frankly. And what I find interesting is that the transportation coordinator was the same person. and so was the visual effects and animation editor. So I really don't know why one shot is plain and disrupts the suspension of disbelief, while the other is more professionally matted over. Though they actually give a name to the Christmas Queen here, while the wrong crews left the Queen Mary's nameplate blank. We can only assume then that in this movie she is named the wrong Queen. It's the only logical explanation. I don't know why anyone wouldn't want to go on a ship called the Wrong Queen, so don't give me that look. Look at the leftover tinsel, by the way. You'll also notice, under Evolution Hospitality, who took over managing the ship in 2018, one very important, and I mean one very desperate step in restoring the Queen Mary was repainting her hull. Just look at it before and look at it after. And they were just getting started here. That is what these three scaffoldings are all about. Because later in the movie, you see the ship fully repainted. So they must have filmed a Christmas cruise first. Another reason why maybe they decided to swish up the establishing B-roll scenes. It's really cool to me to see the progress of the Queen Mary's restoration work evidenced in a low-budget film like this. This is the main entrance of the Queen Mary, spanning 4 decks, stuck in the 1970s, if I do say so, where many films and TV shows have been filmed since she became a floating tourist attraction in Long Beach in 1971. Behind them is either the Carnival Imagination or the Carnival Inspiration, which both got built simultaneously in 1995 and scrapped simultaneously in the onslaught of the 2020 pandemic. You very well might recognize this famous, if not infamous, footage. Speaking of which, look at those lifeboats, when the Mary still had them. 2018 was a different time on so many levels, okay? But I'd much rather have a better maintained ship without lifeboats than a neglected one with lifeboats. So, easy come, easy go. It's here that we meet the potential antagonist of the film, Dante, played by Andres Londono. I do like the diversion they give here. You want to roll your eyes at the instant chemistry, but knowing what's going to go down admittedly made me shiver a little bit. Gone not only the lifeboats, but also are the days of these types of lifeboat drills. I love how they took no effort in hiding the hotel and tour signs by the main entrance. In canon, I'm guessing that this is already an older but very beloved cruise ship. Let's create some lore here. In this universe, though, it's not the Christmas Queen, but the Mexican Queen, or the Wrong Queen as stated before. You know what, maybe it's the same ship, but it just changes out names throughout the year, and Claire Tanner from The Wrong Cruise is actually Pam Stevenson's doppelganger from A Christmas Cruise. Hope that made sense. It is here that we meet another potential antagonist, Pat, played by William McNamara. Back on how well they utilize the Queen Mary. It's one thing I like about this movie better than A Christmas Cruise, because they use one of the Queen Mary's actual original suites and do such a wonderful job of filming it in such a way that highlights the beautiful exotic woods aboard. My goodness! And this was before they got repolished since the city of Long Beach took over operations after the pandemic. What a time that was! And you know what? It complements the mother-daughter relationship, making their chemistry beautifully ingrained that much more. And here we get the probably fairly expensive set that I think they utilized so much better in this film. Look, nobody just gets lost in a crew-only area, okay? There are signs everywhere, so you do not get confused at all. So utilizing this as just a ship's passageway is much better for this really very charming nautical set piece. And there's an important purpose here as well. Like, I think they do a really good job of establishing what a creepy guy this man appears to be in the story. Unless he's not. We don't really know who he is just yet, and I love that. Beautiful sweeping views of the original first-class shopping center, with an RE that makes us forebodingly curious as to what's about to go down here. The inconsistent Grand Class Princess B-roll shot they also purchased for A Christmas Cruise is really distracting though. Followed shortly by this one, of what is, I can only guess, the Viking Sea. It leads though to my favorite scene in the entire film. This is the Queen Mary's original sports deck in between funnels 1 and 2. We're introduced to Sky's love interest Rico, played by Adrian Quinta, and I don't know. While I fear the idea of regularly turning Queen Mary into a nightclub at the risk of drunken people in particular trashing the ship's historical structure and therefore integrity, having evening gala events like this more often than just on the 4th of July and New Year's Eve would be really cool. And this scene illustrates to me how possible it is in the future. It's the perfect historical romantic setting for such things. Enter the typical, but effective, immediate parallel editing transition shots. This is the Mary's original shuffleboard court, where the opening sermon from the 1972 Poseidon Adventure was filmed. It's also right next to the very top of the 3-deck high first-class main lounge, now known as the Queen Salon. To have monthly galas like this would elevate her original 5-star luxury very nicely, I think. This movie's giving a lot of ideas for what can be done in the near future. What's funny about this is that in reality, this outdoor nightclub is only really a few yards forward, if that even. So the no doubt $30 to $130 per person guests at this restaurant paid to dine here would be rudely interrupted by the no doubt loud noise and light pollution literally steps away. Beside that, it really is such a beautifully dressed scene, and they highlight some of the Mary's nautical features so enrichingly. Put on more events like this more often, current management. I just know many would flock to it. Here is another example of the writers and producers doing a good job of making us wonder what's going on, of a mystery unfolding. That's quality television in my opinion. Though we also quickly get into a Christmas cruise territory where what is clearly not a cruise ship is very distractingly evident. Like, this is clearly a very dirty and frequently used bathroom in some local municipal community center, and is really gross looking. Like, in the words of Ray from Uptown Girls.
Hey, you want to pick up bacterial meningitis or polio? You go ahead and be my guest.
That's all I'm thinking about in this scene. Like, I already don't get the appeal of wanting to do it in a public bathroom, so this really isn't giving the effects they want to get from me. Wait, they have a balcony? This is the only time we see it too, by the way. And now here's where the drama really begins. Dante invites Pam, Claire, onto a boat in this random port city in Mexico. I guess Christmas came early to, Mazatlan? Wait, that's clearly Cabo San Lucas.
The ship will depart at 5 p.m. If you are not on board at 5 p.m., the ship will leave without you.
Also, is this an excursion?
You must have your cruise card on you in order to reboard this ship.
Because this info is never given out like this, and crew don't escort you to the gangway. I don't know. Like, I know it's just a movie and they want to lazily make the plot go along, but it's just hilarious to me all the same. Like, they couldn't do anything else but this. Also,
We hope you all have a pleasant day in Mexico.
said no cruise ship intercom ever.
Big Princess will be leaving Cabo San Lucas in 30 minutes.
Now, I really wanted to see if there were any testimonials from the cast and crew about the Queen Mary and what it was like working on the ship, or the experience they had while shooting, and I was able to find Vivica's sentiments in regards to a Christmas cruise, at least, back in 2017, from an article for the Columbus Dispatch. Fox said, "Plus, we got to shoot on the Queen Mary, and it is beautiful, but they did tell me parts of it were kind of haunted." And that, was all I could find. But I was really happy that she said the ship was beautiful. People love working on the ship. I think it's like an authentically historical set that gets cast and crew alike away from the mundane green screens and fragmented fake settings and studio settings, and it's like a contained local vacation for them. That's how I see it. Anyway, Rico and Sky spend time in the same cliff park as they have in a Christmas cruise. That's Christmas Island, and you can't tell me different. It's the same place and the same ship, and virtually the same cruise. This, on the other hand, isn't even B-roll of real ocean. What are we doing? At this point, we are getting really concerned for this mother-daughter duo. We discover more about Sky's father and the trauma surrounding his recent passing. We discover Rico's own father issues. His mother died when he was young, while Londono does a good job of switching drastically from nice guy to hardened criminal. And at the 36-minute mark, which is so prophetic because that is the Queen Mary's number. It's the year she debuted on the scene, May 1936. It's also the last we see of the Queen Mary. As tacky as this scene is put together, the impact isn't lost on me. It really did remind me about how real human trafficking is, and how nefarious and heartless people like Dante are, and how to be careful and watchful of my surroundings. So, you know what? That's a good sign for Vivica's vision of the series. And again, great pacing, great editing, great build-up. And the acting really does help and hold up well. It doesn't feel rushed until the last scene with the Mary in frame, transitioning us into Act 2. There's good integration with the soundtrack and complementing sound effects, if I may also compliment. Now, I really was hoping that we'd meet the ship again at the very end once the problems were overcome and the main characters had victory over all the adversity. Maybe they got a free cruise from it all or something like that, but the ship and the cruise and the destination, nothing is even mentioned after this impressive establishing shot of a full moon over Mexico. I think leaving this out didn't hurt the storyline, but it did feel like something was missing, at least for me, not to at least acknowledge the cruise in some way, maybe even as a commentary as to whether they feel safe traveling ever again. So the majority of the film, after the 36-minute mark, and the last remaining hour left, is all about Skye trying to find her mother discovering the nefarious operations and trying to escape while learning who's the bad guy and in what part of the operation each bad guy is involved. This includes, as we quickly realize, the deeply conflicting Rico, whom we find is under the oppressive command of the grandfather of the operation, Dante. We also finally get some closure on the opening cliffhanger scene, which is absolutely heartbreaking, by the way. I felt the impact of this scene so much. They did an incredible job here, I feel like. Now, I would have liked to see Skye at least attempt to go to the Mexican police and maybe discover it to be a failure, maybe seeing that the police are in on it, or even just Skye naively agreeing with Rico because she trusts him so much, so unfortunately much. There's a chance they didn't want to make it too political or complicated or longer than it had to be. I don't know, but I feel like that wouldn't take up a whole lot of time in the film all the same. Now, I don't know why The Wrong Cruise feels to me to have overall better production value than A Christmas Cruise. It being a serious, sobering story that faces head-on very scary subject matters that actually happen in the real world probably has something to do with it, because A Christmas Cruise is super lighthearted, almost an edgy version of a Hallmark love fantasy with most of the tropes you'd expect, but on a ship. In an absolutely beautiful, sprawling estate, it is revealed to us the details of who Pat is, and we get a glimpse into the relationship between Pat and Dante. Pat is the tech genius working behind the scenes for Dante. Maybe I'm daft, but I didn't get the impression Pat was acting as cruise director until they established it in this very heavily expedition-dumped interaction. Like, how long was he able to put on the act? You know what it takes to be a cruise director?
Oh, are you a crew member?
Actually, I'm the cruise director. At your service.
I'm supposed to find the Lido deck. I'm supposed to bring my mom there.
Ah, Lido, from the Italian word, public swimming place. Bellissimo. Mwah!
They have their own Facebook fan pages. He becomes something of a minor celebrity, and I don't think Undercover Pat would want that? Am I missing something here? I could be. I don't know the ins and outs of the industry, or the underground crime industry either. So beside the very rushed plot conveniences and plot holes, they did a good job of getting me shocked to discover that Pat was the mastermind the whole time, while Dante's progressively more heartless, wicked cruelty definitely scared me a bit. There are some quality twists and turns that I was surprised not to have suspected in a serial Lifetime movie, because you don't get that with all the films from the Wrong series. Big surprise. Like, you really do root for the characters as the story progresses. And again, you can't totally say that for all of the storylines. They go too fast, or they end too quickly, or they just remain a little too comfortable, you know what I mean? And I think actors Vivica and Andres really do contribute to it, because they believably play off each other very well and very naturally. Seasoned actors they show themselves to be. Now, there continues to be a good number of plot-convenient moments, like you'd expect, obviously. Like Tools just happening to be in the bathroom, and how quickly the news gets hold of some misinformation about Sky and Claire. I guess in our social media age, maybe it's more believable than I'm giving it credit for, and how the overall story is just safe enough not to feel truly scary and dangerous. But they're also few and far between enough as to not distract from the overall story and its message, so give credit where credit's due. We get some more cross-cutting / parallel editing as Claire and her daughter Sky are trying to escape their captors and the overall situation. Claire manages to postpone handing money over to Dante at Lifetime movie stakes. We see the mother-daughter bond strengthening and their character arcing. We see criminal betraying criminal, the sacrifice of doing the right thing as Rico lets them free. I really do unironically like this scene here and how they put Dante in this ostentatious chair, illustrating very blatantly his Godfather levels of power and position, even though, like his common and low-budget features, it's a very empty set. Like, where are all his lackeys, you know? His henchmen? I also really like the road trip escape portion as Sky and Claire try to make it, I guess, to the border, maybe? Just trying to find their way back to the United States, or else somewhere safe. Maybe the most compelling part of the movie for me that also illustrates Dante's cunning, you know, being able to impersonate a police officer. Where it kind of totally loses me, though, is this climactic chase scene, which just totally loses all the momentum the movie was building up for me. The message was there, though, you know? It's almost like they were having too much fun on set, or probably more likely it wasn't well planned out, or plans changed and they had to make some quick decisions, or the deadline was just too close, because the excessive wide shots and rushed performances remind me of the kind of videos I did in college while learning the art of filmmaking. Like, this is the obligatory chase video we were all assigned in video A110.
Yeah!
In the end, this movie and this series, despite its often tacky, wooden, plot-convenient, made-for-TV qualities and kind of lackluster low-budget production value, clearly has heart behind it, and the message isn't lost on me. So, if you made it this far to the end, do you know Vivica's work in such films as Kill Bill Volume 1? Or Cool Cat Saves the Kids? Have you seen or even heard of one of the Wrong franchise movies? Are you inspired to look into any of them now? Again, I highly recommend The Wrong Man, which is free on YouTube, by the way. At least I think it still is. I hope it still is. And more importantly than all of that, why is Dominique Swain in the poster? She plays one of the smallest parts in the movie. And that is a Carnival Conquest class ship, which we see no indication of during the first 36 minutes of the film. Oh, Lifetime. Anyway, I implore you to subscribe and to stick around. I have a handful of videos I've already made, some about very serious and groundbreaking films like Buster Keaton's The Navigator, and various Titanic movies. The Parent Trap. That one took longer than I expected, let me tell you. But I learned so much about the film, and about the QE2, and how she inspired the movie. I also have some lighthearted, low-budget videos like this one, like the one about a Christmas cruise, as well as an entire series on the Queen Mary and the history and restoration work she is finally receiving in her permanent home in Long Beach. She is totally worth a visit if you happen to be in Long Beach or in the LA area, because they are doing beautiful things to bring her back to her original Art Deco splendor. So stay tuned and keep sailing toward the horizon. And watch this video next.
Oh, are you a crew member?
Actually, I'm the cruise director. At your service.
I'm supposed to find the Lido deck. I'm supposed to be on there.
Ah, Lido, from the Italian word, public swimming place. Bellissimo. Mwah!